Okay. Okay. So, yeah, welcome to all of you to the course. So, coding theory and cryptography. This course is a very nice bridge connecting pure and applied mathematics. Both coding theory and cryptography concerned with the communication of information first. Okay. One is communication over noisy channels. So our channels are noisy channels, right? For example, I'm communicating with you. If Siddhi is here, her internet connection is very poor, right? So yeah, so channels sometimes very noisy channels, and but even then we need to connect it and we need to get what actually we want to. Okay, so that is related to coding theory. And other thing is cryptography. It is communication over non-secure channels. So many people want to get information from us, but even then we need to go in a secure way. So both coding theory and cryptography are concerned with the communication of information. Okay, one over noisy channel, other is over non-secure channels. Okay, so I request you that no need to write, means take the notes and I will share the slides with you, but you can write down important points which you want. So the first 3 lectures we study properties of integers and finite fields. Later I'll actually go to the subject. Okay. So first 2 lectures will help you to understand different proof techniques also. And here in the number theory, as you are aware, problems are easy to state and understand, but a few problems are very difficult to solve. Right. So today I start asking few questions, but we'll solve them in the middle or end of the 2 lectures. As course progress, I will ask more and more questions. If you enjoy the course, it is because of the intrinsic beauty of the subject. Okay. And because of your discussion with your peer group, not because of me. Okay. So come to the notations. So you all know, but throughout the course, what is the notation we are going to use? Let us have that, right? So we are going to use these complex numbers. You all know a plus ib, where a and b are 2 real numbers, right? And the real numbers we denote it by r. Rational numbers p by q, where p, and you know this irrational numbers, integers, and whole numbers are 0, 1, 2, 3, and so on, right? Okay. So the first concept in the course is, so can you tell me, any one of you, so tick your hand, raise your hand, or tick yes actually, that is will be better. Can you state a property which hold for natural numbers but not hold for Z, Q, or R? Yeah.
Minimum and the same.
So Rohan, yeah, please go ahead.
The well ordering principle.
Well ordering principle. Yeah, thanks Rohan. Yeah. So it is a well ordering principle. What is that says is that every non-empty subset of natural numbers has a least element, right? Yes, so that is called well ordering principle, as Rohan told correctly. So if S is contained in N and S is non-empty, then S has a least element. That is the well ordering principle, right? So we can tell in terms of quantifiers. First of all, what do you mean by least element? We mean that there is an S in S. For every T in S, S is less than or equal to T. Then we'll say that S is the least element, right? Least element means there is an S, that S is said to be least if for every T in S, S is less than or equal to T. Okay. So equivalently, this statement also say that S is a subset of natural numbers. S is either empty set or S has a smallest element. Or S is subset of natural numbers and S is non-empty, then S has a smallest element. So do you allow me to replace A by the here? I am telling S has a smallest element. S has a, right? So do you allow me to replace A by the? Yes, because it is the element, smallest element is unique, that can be proved easily, right? So S is subset of natural numbers and S does not have the smallest element, then S is empty set. So these are all equivalent to the well ordering principle, right? So we will use this indirectly. So we will not state several times, but whenever you come across natural numbers, So it has this property. Any non-empty subset of natural numbers has a least element. So that is one weapon with us. Okay. Now onwards in this course, we have one weapon. Okay. Good. Okay. So can we extend it to whole numbers also? Means whole numbers means including 0. My question is that if I take a non-empty subset of whole numbers, if I take any non-empty subset of whole number that has a least element, by assuming a well-ordering principle, suppose I assumed well-ordering principle, that is every non-empty subset of natural numbers has a least element. Okay, by using that, can I prove that every non-empty subset of whole numbers has a least element? Just any one of you, if you know the answer, please raise your, please tick yes. If the question is not clear, raise your hand. Yes, no one? Is the question not clear? I'll repeat the question. I'm assuming that well-ordering principle, that means every non-empty subset of natural numbers has a least element. Okay, right? And next thing is that what I am asking is that if I take a whole numbers, every non-empty subset of whole numbers also has a least element. I want to prove that. Is it true or not? If it is true, how can you prove it? This is the question. Yeah.
Yes, like if you take a subset of the whole numbers and if it does not contain 0, then we are done. If it contains 0, then consider the part which does not contain 0, that will have the smallest element.
Right. Yeah. So I hope you all understood what Rohan told. So that proof is what he done is called proof by cases. He proved by cases. He took a subset of whole numbers, and he proved in 2 cases. First, if 0 is there in the set, then 0 is the least element. Done in that subset, right? If 0 does not belong to that, but then becomes a subset of non-empty subset of natural numbers. So then I will use the well-ordering principle. Very simple, right? So it can be extended actually, but so you can extend we just added 0 to the whole numbers, so natural numbers, and we still well-ordering principle happened there. So you can add a finite number of elements to natural numbers, -1, -2 like that, and still we can have the well-ordering principle. But we cannot add, well-ordering principle is not true for integers. You cannot add infinite set. Okay, that part is okay. So to understand one small example here, so you take S18. So I defined S18, n belongs to n. S18 is set of all natural numbers. Sum of the digits of n equal to 18. Okay, so is it an empty set or non-empty set first? Is the question clear now? Sum of the digits of n equal to 18. So somebody can tell me that one empty or non-empty?
Non-empty.
Non-empty. So who is telling? Shruti?
Yes, sir.
Shruti, can you give me one element in this?
99.
99. Very good. 99 is an element here because 9 plus 9 is 18. Correct. Yeah. So it is non-empty. So by well-ordering principle, it has a smallest element. So what is the smallest element?
Again, I think 99.
99 itself. Correct.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So 55553 belongs to it. Okay. So it is non-empty. So by well-ordering principle, it has a least element, that is 99, as you rightly pointed out. So just to tell that what is well-ordering principle is. Is it an infinite set or a finite set?
It's an
Yeah, take Shruti.
finite
Set. It take time. That's what.
Some.
See,
Okay.
I framed the question. I know the answer, right?
Okay.
So take time and then rest.
Infinite, I guess.
Infinite. Who is that?
Closer.
Dhruva.
So, Dhruv.
Yeah. Why it is infinite?
Yeah.
Why it is infinite?
Sir, just logically thinking that the digits we can add zeros at our will. So
yeah, right, correct. What Dhruva is saying is that 990, 990, 9900, 909. So right? Yeah, so even I can take 1 1 1 1 1 1 18 times and then afterwards I put zeros at any place. Yeah, he's correct. Yeah, so it is infinite set. Okay, that's okay. Just asking finite set or infinite set, nothing is there like that. So now you try yourself that you take your date of birth. So let us say 18 is date of birth of my son. That's why I took 18. But you can take date of birth of yours and then work out, right? Okay. So there is another question like that I asked here. Okay. So these are easy. So you can easily check it. So little complicated example is here. So A and B are two natural numbers. I am defining as AB. Okay. AX plus BY. Okay. Are you fine with it? Where X and Y are non-negative integers. That means whole numbers. So I am taking non-negative integer linear combinations of A and B. A and B are fixed. I am taking AX plus BY. So, so it is clearly a subset of anyone? It is subset of what? Which set?
Integers.
Integers is very good. You can say more.
Yes.
Natural numbers.
Natural
Natural
numbers.
numbers.
Are you sure it is subset of natural numbers?
Because A
Whole
and B are natural numbers.
No, no.
So
Okay.
if
I'll
I take
ask
both
one.
of
No, no.
them
Shruti.
zero,
Sir,
then it will be zero. Yeah, whole numbers.
So is
whole,
0 belong to
yes.
this set?
Yes, because if you take both X and Y to be
0.
zero.
Then it is not subset of natural numbers, right? Natural
Yes.
numbers for me 1, 2, 3 onwards. Okay, it is subset of whole number, that much you can say, and it is non-empty we can say because 0 is there. Then we can ask question that what is the smallest element. So it depends upon A and B, of course. Okay, so it is interesting question. So for example, now I am telling you another question that T35. Okay, so I'll not go into this. Okay, so later we'll come to it. So actually, this is related to something nice problem in the number theory that is called Coin problem or Frobenius problem. What is that I want to say is that, for example, you have unlimited supply of 3 rupee coins and 5 rupee coins, right? And you go to market, which one you can purchase, which you cannot purchase. So this is related to that, and that is very nicely related to well ordering principle and many other aspects. Okay, good. Okay, so that is the first concept of the course. My second concept of the course is that suppose there are 4 children in say LKG students, right? Child 1 has 20 chocolates. Assume that it is his or her birthday. Child 1 want to distribute these chocolates to other 3 children. How child 1 can do? So since he or she is an LKG student, he does not know how to divide, right? What is the first step child 1 will do?
Give one chocolate to
Yeah,
everyone.
yes, good. Yeah, Vinit, yeah, correct. So one chocolate first he will give. So 3 chocolates are over. Then next what happens, Vinit?
And remaining he again like one again.
One again I will give. So like that, what happens at the end in order? Finally, what happens?
The last kid will have one less chocolate than the other two.
Now, finally, what going to happen? Child 1, how many elements will, how many chocolates will left with child 1?
Okay, 2 chocolates.
2 chocolates. What going to happen at that time? There is a lot of fight, right? We will get those 2 chocolates. But anyhow, the child 1 is very intelligent and he will say that I already given 666 to you. So I'll, it is my birthday, so let me keep 2 chocolates. So fight will not be happen. Okay, fine. So that is exactly you divide 3 by 20 and you will get a remainder and like that, right? So that is exactly I want to say. So you take B is some natural number. So you know what you mean by BZ, right? 0B, 2B, -B, -2B and so on. So now if A belongs to Z, where A lies in the above diagram, right? Okay, so is the situation arises? For example, in the earlier case, so there are 3 children, right? I take b equal to 3. Okay. So what is that my now that one 0, 3, 6 like that, -3, -6 and so on, right? Okay. So I want to distribute 20 chocolates. My A is equal to 20. Where A lies in the above diagram with B equal to 3 case?
Between 18 and 21.
21, right? Yeah. So that is exactly so. So what is that? What is that? 3 is what is that? 2 is called? Sorry. 1 minute. 1 minute. You told 18 and 21, right? 18 and 21. So how do you write now 20? 20 is equal to 18 plus 2, right?
Yes.
18 is equal to 3 into 6 plus 2. So what is 6 is called?
Quotient.
Quotient, and the 2 is called?
Remainder.
Remainder, right? This 20 can be written as, so when A is in between QB and Q plus 1 into B, then A is equal to Q into B plus some R, right? So can you predict that what is I'm going to tell? What is the second concept of the course? Can you predict?
Division algorithm.
It is division algorithm. Yes, Rohan. Yes. So is it possible to take B as negative, Rohan?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. Sorry, I'm not going in depth actually. As I can ask many questions to motivate you, but you're already done the course. So actually these are the things related to that. So I'll go to the division algorithm. The division algorithm statement is very nice. Okay. Sorry, till now I'm a little fast, and please excuse me. Now I'll go systematically. So division algorithm statement is very simple. Hypothesis is very simple. It will ask for 2 integers, A and B, but B is non-zero. Okay. Then the entire thing is conclusion. Okay. What is hypothesis? What is the conclusion? Hypothesis is simply 2 integers. One of them is non-zero. Whenever in your life you come across this situation, then immediately you can think of that I can apply division algorithm. So whenever you have 2 integers, one of them is non-zero, then what is going to happen? There exist unique integers Q and R such that A is equal to BQ plus R. Okay, where R satisfies some conditions. So 0 is less than or equal to R is less than mod B, because B can be negative, right? But B cannot be 0. That is the only thing. I cannot divide quantities by 0. That's the only thing. Okay, so this is very powerful result, very powerful weapon, second weapon we have. So this weapon you can recall whenever you come across 2 integers, one of them is non-zero, right? Yes. Okay, so proof is very simple. We'll prove by using that well ordering principle. Okay, so we'll construct, so we'll first prove for B is positive. Okay, then B is negative, easy to prove it. So B is positive means B is greater than or equal to 1, right? Then we create a some set SAB, A minus Bn. So this is also easy to see that why you are doing that A minus Bn, right? So then we'll prove that it contains some non-negative, we'll intersect with natural numbers later. Okay. So what is the set here? N is a variable, N is changing. So elements are A plus R minus B, A plus R minus 2B, A plus R minus 3B like that. And then we'll intersect with the natural numbers. And we'll prove that it is non-empty and all. Then we'll apply well ordering principle. It has a least element. That element is going to be the remainder. But of course, later we'll prove for uniqueness. Sorry for going little fast. You can check it later. It is not complicated thing. Okay. So then we'll prove uniqueness. Then we'll prove for B negative case. Okay. Then only it will complete. Okay. I'm not going to the proof. Proof is available here. Sites I'm going to give it to you. So you can easily check. And if you have doubts, then you can ask me later. Okay. So only thing I want to say that there is a well-ordered principle division algorithm statement you need to, I ask you to remember. Okay. But how it is proved, just I'll let you one more time. You create a set and then intersect with a natural number that has a least element by well ordering principle. and then you will prove uniqueness, and then you will prove it for B negative case also. Okay. So let us see few applications of division algorithm. So when B is equal to 2 and A is any integer, then A is equal to 2Q plus R. So somebody can tell me what is the R values, possible values for R?
0 and 1.
0 or 1, right? That you know. So in this case, R equal to 0 or 1. So when R is equal to 0, we'll have A is equal to 2Q. It is called even integer, and R equal to an odd integer, right? So what is that actually? Now we actually defined what is an even integer and odd integer. We divided by 2, depending upon the remainder, we'll say even integer, odd integer. Okay. So if I take B is equal to 3, then A is equal to 3Q plus R, then remainder is either 0 or 1 or 2, right? So that means actually we are dividing the set of integers into 3 bags. Those integers which will give remainder 0, those will give remainder 1, those will give remainder 2. Okay. Yeah. So consequently, every integer can be expressed as a 3Q or 3Q plus 1 or 3Q plus 2. In other words, Z is written as union of 3 sets. So division algorithm helping us to do this thing. Division algorithm, right? So sometimes you want to prove certain results in the number theory. So you do proof by cases. You see that Rohan given and the first proof he given, proof by cases. He proved whether 0 belongs to that set or not belongs to, right? Similarly, in order to prove some results in number theory to prove for integers, so all integers are, you will prove for numbers of the form 3Q, 3Q plus 1 and 3Q plus. If you prove for 3 cases, then you are done. So that is the beauty of this division algorithm. So proof by cases, certain proofs proved by proof by cases. So that is the advantage of this, right? So in particular, very interesting problem is that 4K or 4K plus 1. You know that why it is, you already done it, right? Is there any student who not done the number theory course in this year? Can you raise your hand? Can you tick no? Is there any student who does not done the number theory course? I know at least 2 people, they not done the number theory course. At least they had to tick no. Karnika, you done?
Sir, I wrote in the chat no. Sir, I thought
Not
you
in the
said
chat
to read.
actually. Not in the chat actually. See, there is a dots, right? So you can see. Can you click the for participants? You'll get a pop-up some window, right?
Okay, sir, got it.
Yeah. So
Okay,
can
sir.
you? So can
Yes,
you
sir.
tick no there?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So Pragati, you are not a ticked actually. No.
Sir, I have done that course in BSc.
Okay, you done. Okay, Karnika now ticked. Yeah. So when you want to say on to answer or say yes, tick yes. Yes or no, try to utilize. Yeah. Okay, good.
Hello, sir.
Yeah, please.
Yeah, sir. I don't see options in my participants list.
Okay.
Is there any issue?
There's
I don't know.
a thing
Why?
called reactions.
Okay.
Okay, reactions you are talking about. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so let us go forward. So advantage of division algorithm is that it allows us to prove the assertions about all integers by considering only finite number of cases, as I told you. For example, every square is of the form 4K or 4K plus 1, right? Let A be an integer, then the proof goes very simple. If A is equal to 2Q or so either it is of the form 2Q or 2Q plus 1. If I now square it, right? So it is either of the form 4K or 4K plus 1, right? In other words, square of an integer cannot be of the form 4K plus 2 or 4K plus 3, right? So the statement is that every square is of the form 4K or 4K plus 1. How do you prove it? You take A as an integer and we know that it is of the form 2Q or 2Q plus 1, either odd or even. So if it is already even, if I square it, it is a multiple of 4. So it is 4K. It is of the form 2k plus 1. If I square it, that is 4q square plus 4q plus 1, right? Yeah, so then also it is of the form, in that case, it is of the form 4k plus 1. So you take any square number, take an integer and square it, it will never be of the form 4k plus 2 or 4k plus 3, right? So that we proved. So the division algorithm helping us to prove that easily. So what about the converse? Converse generally not true. Means if there is a number of the form 4k plus 1 doesn't mean that it is a square number. So, okay. Yeah. So similarly, can you, so if I look at square odd integer, so in which form it should be? So somebody can point out. Okay, go slow. I am little fast maybe. Okay, don't worry about whatever till now done. The question is this.
Has
I'm
to be
taking
4k plus 1.
Sorry, Shruti.
Has to be 4k plus 1.
Yeah, it is of the form 4k plus 1 is very much clear. It cannot be of the form 4k. We already know that every square integer is of the form 4k or 4k plus 1. So odd integer cannot be of the form 4k, even if you square it, square of odd in odd. But we can say more. Look at here 1, 9, 25, 49, 81. Of course, you are correct. There is no doubt in it. They are of the form 4k plus 1, but we can say much more. That is what I am looking. Of course, it may be little open question and you do not know what to respond also, but even then I am waiting for some time that somebody may come up. So 8, 25, 49, 81. Is it related to 8 somehow? Okay, since no one is ticking yes or coming forward, I'm giving some hint.
So we can express 9 as 8 plus 1, then 25 as 3 into 8 plus 1, and then like 49 as 48 plus 1, that is like 48 plus 1. So it will be 2 into 3 into like 2 into 3 into 8 plus 1.
Wait. Yeah, that's good. Okay. So Aniruddha, you took it as, can you go ahead? Aniruddha. Hello, Aniruddha, you can go ahead.
So he's saying in the chat that his mic is not working.
No. So Aniruddha, no chat actually. You can talk actually.
Sir, he's saying that his mic is not working.
Okay. Sorry. Okay, now it is clear to me. Okay, fine. Okay, so it is of the form 8k plus 1, right? So do not put in the chat. Okay. Yeah. So if you put in the chat, other people stop thinking. Okay. Okay. So they are of the form 8k plus 1. See, now the beauty is that if you divide any integer by 8, it can be of the form 8k plus 1 up to 8k plus 7. So integers are divided into 8 bags now, right? Mutually disjoint bags, right? And all the squares of odd integers are in one bag only. That's the beauty. Okay. That's what I want to say. Okay. So proof is simple. Yeah. So this another problem that none of them is a square here. 11, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1 like that. None of them is a square here. Okay, so any one of you can prove that? Yeah, I know Aniruddha knows. Okay, now done. So you cannot say in mic, you cannot speak. So Aniruddha ka chhod do. Now other people, anyone else?
Sir, odd square has to be 4k plus 1 the whole square. That will give you 16k square plus 8k plus 1. You can take 8 common. And so it will be of the form 8q plus 1.
No, it is not clear actually. Why 11 is so? What is the question is that 11 cannot be square of some number.
Okay,
One is not a square of some number. None of these are squares of, none of them are perfect squares. That is what we want to show.
Okay, okay.
Okay, that is
So
the
these are odd numbers of the form 4k plus 3.
4k plus 3. So who is that? Who is that?
Aditi, sir.
Aditi. Yes, you are correct. So what Aditi is saying, that she is telling that if you take any square number that can be of the form 4k or 4k plus 1. Okay. Now they're anyhow odd. So if it is a square number, then it has to be of the form 4k plus 1 first. But Aditi is proving that every number here is of the form 8k plus 3 only. That's why they can never be a perfect square. So now your goal is now boils down to prove that every number is of the form 4k plus 3 here. So 11 is easy, 111, and so how to prove that is the now goal. That is not very complicated thing. Okay. So actually thing is that these are called rep units, repeated units. Okay. So 11111 n times I can write it as last term 0 plus 0, 8 plus 3. So you know that this number is divisible by 4, 8 is divisible by 4. So entire number is of the form 4k plus 3. Right? Yeah. So they are not going to be squares. Okay. So there is another question like that. So you check it later. And so another example that so you take any natural number n, and n into n plus 1 into 2n plus 1 by 6 is an integer. So this proof can be done in different ways. One is by using mathematical induction. But now because of this this division algorithm, we can prove that way also. So we will divide into 6 cases. When it is n is of the form 6k, n is of the form 6k plus 1, like that. Okay. So I will not go into details. In every case, you can prove that. So it is an integer. That means it is a multiple of n into n plus 1 into 2n plus 1 is a multiple of 6. That can be proved. Okay. That is the proof. Okay. So you know earlier that this can be proved by induction. Okay. So yeah. So another few assignment questions are some questions to you. So a into a square plus 2 by 3 is always an integer. Okay. The proof is simple. So what that means is that what is that you want to show is that a into a square plus 2 is equal to 3q plus r. Okay. Then r has to be 0, whatever may be the integer a. That is the goal. Okay. That means if a is of the form 3k, then already it is a remainder is 0. If a is of the form 3k plus 1 or 3k plus 2, then a square plus 2 do something. It's very simple. I think is it okay, right? Yeah. The square of any integer is of the form 3k or 3k plus 1. So these are the sum of the questions I asked here, right? Fourth power of any integer is of the form 5k or 5k plus 1. These are all done by that. Okay. Now we'll go to the third concept of the course. Okay. So this is about in the why I'm going sequentially. So Bell-Ordering principle is used to prove that division algorithm. Okay. So division algorithm is used to define this concept. Okay. If I take two integers a and b and b is non-zero, then what we can do? I can write a is equal to bq plus r, right? By division algorithm, there exists unique q and r. Now, if this r is equal to 0, then what we can say? We say that b divides a. That is the concept, division, the concept of division. So let a and b are two integers and b not equal to 0. Then b is set to divide a if there is an integer k such that a is equal to bk. Okay. So, in that case, we denote b divides a. This is a notation. Okay. Instead of writing b di vi des, you simply say b divides a. B does not divide a is meaning is that one. Okay. So a divides b is a statement. Okay. So for example, 2 divides 6 is true. 6 divides 2 is false. It is a statement. Okay. Whereas 6 by 2 is a number. So be careful that. Okay. It is equal to 3. So what is the meaning of b divides a? So it is b divides a, or a is divisible by b, or b is a factor of a, or a is a multiple of b. Okay. So we can use this at any point of time. Yeah. So you know through properties of division, right? Okay. So whenever we write b divides a, automatically b not equal to 0. Okay. I will not say several times. So that I will not mention. Okay. Every time. Okay. So it is known that a divides a, every integer, of course. Again, I'm telling you, we are excluding 0. Okay. So D divides A and A divides B, then D divides B, transitivity property is there, right? And this is most important property. Okay, D divides A and D divides B, then D divides AN plus BM for all N and M. That is, if D divides A comma B, then D divides every integer linear combination of A and B, right? So somebody can prove it. So Kuldeep Kumar, yeah, Sachin Verma is okay, ready to prove it. But I want to talk to Kuldeep Kumar once. Kuldeep, are you here? Okay. Yeah, Dhruv Kumar, yeah, you raised a hand. Is any doubt, Dhruv Kumar?
No, sir.
Yeah,
I just
raise
wanted to
is,
answer.
okay, raise hand is for the doubts clarification. Okay. If you want to answer, then tick yes, right? Okay, yeah, Siddhi Jing J, yeah, Sid, I'll check you, how is your internet connection? I know that you are from Ratnagiri, right? Your internet connection is little weak, I know that part. But even then, are you able to speak, Sid?
Yes, sir.
Okay, yeah. So are you able to prove this part? What I'm giving, D divides A and D divides B. So we want to show that D divides AN plus BM for every N and for every M. Do you know how to prove? Yeah, Sachin, go ahead.
Sir, we know that D divides A, so we can write A as some D times K1,
Very good.
where K is a natural number. And sir, again, D divides B, so we can express B as D times K2. So sir, when we so now sir, if so now if we so we have a D divides A, so we have A as D times K1, and D divides B, we have B equals to D times K2. So now we can multiply both the equation by N and M, and then when we add them, we will have AN plus BM equals to D bracket K time K1 times the N.
Yeah, correct. Now,
Yes.
Sachin, yeah, you can mute.
Yes.
Yeah, so see, there is no need to panic actually. Okay. So see, go slowly and think carefully. What is given to us? D divides A, D divides B. You know what is the meaning of that one. D divides A meaning, as rightly pointed out Sachin, there exists a K1 such that A is equal to D into K1. So keep with you. Now D divides B. What is the meaning of that one? There exists a K2 such that B is equal to dk2. Okay, so they are with us. Whatever the hypothesis that we kept with us. What is that we want to show? We want to show that an plus bm is also divisible by d. That is divisible by d. That means what is that I want to show? Just ask questions. Then we'll go forward. I want to show that an plus bm is equal to d into some integer. That is what we want to show. So let us start with that an plus bm equal to. But already I know that a is equal to dk1. Substitute here. An plus bm is equal to dk1 into n plus b value dk2 plus m. So I can take d common, d into some integer. So done, right?
So we can also just see it intuitively also that we are able to make groups of D in A and groups of D in B. So I'm placing all A and B side by side.
Right. Yeah, correct. Yeah. So is it everyone is clear? If you are clear with the proof, can you tick yes? At least one tick, all of you. So let us see how many of you have. Anyone has a doubt? Chetana, what is the problem, Chetana? Do you have some problem? Karnika, you not understand this? Aditi?
Sir, I clicked yes.
Okay. Okay, fine. Okay, so this is the thing which we'll use more. So other results are easy. You can prove it. Okay, I'm going forward. Actually, these are. So one small question before going further. Okay, yeah. Sid, you can untick actually. Yeah, yeah. Thanks. Okay, let n be an integer n greater than or equal to 2. Suppose n plus 1 integers are selected randomly. Prove that difference of two of them is divisible by n. Okay. What the meaning is that, okay, I'll explain you to help you understand this. Okay, just I'll give some few seconds first. You yourself read the statement. Okay, I'll explain you. If I take three integers, right? What is that I'm telling is that at least two of them will be there. Out of these three, two will be there. Their difference is divisible by 2. I'll repeat. If I take three integers, okay, out of these three, at least two will be exist. Their difference is divisible by 2. Okay, why that is so?
So, because if you take three integers and divide all three integers by 2, then the options for remainder that we have are only 0 and 1. So you only have two options.
Okay.
So at least two of the integers will have same remainder when divided by 2.
Right, right.
So when we take the difference, that remainder will be gone.
Okay, very good. You actually given the proof for this actual main problem, right?
Pigeonhole principle.
Pigeonhole principle. So all of you are clear. So what? Who is said actually? I have not checked actually.
Sir, it's Aditi again.
Aditi. Okay, Aditi. Okay, Aditi. Thanks. Okay, Aditi told that. So n plus 1 integers are there. You divide each integer by n, and you know that the remainders are from 0 to n minus 1 only. So there are only n remainders. At least two of them will have the same remainders by pigeonhole principle. Okay, we have n plus 1 pigeons and only n pigeonholes. At least one pigeonhole has to contain two pigeons. Okay, that means both will have the same remainder. That means A equal to nq plus r, nq1 plus r, B is equal to nq2 plus r. Okay, so if I subtract A minus B, R gets cancelled, what she told. I hope it is clear to all of you, right? That is what I given here also. So you can check in the slides and you can go forward. So that is what pigeonhole principle is. So now few other questions were given here to make this entire content self-contained. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Now I'm going to the third concept. Before going to that, now onwards it is very interactive and I want you to interact. Yeah. So I'm defining let n be an integer. Okay. So dn is defined as all d integers such that d divides n. Okay, I'm collecting dn is set of all divisors of n. Okay, I hope dn is clear to all of you. Okay, in particular, I'll give an example. d8 is equal to d8 divisors of 8. Okay, you know what are the divisors of 8? 1 divides 8, 2 divides 8, right? I'm just collected. So d8 dn is set of all divisors of that one. Okay, so I'll ask questions. So I hope you will tell a little fast way. What is cardinality of dn? Okay, okay, no need to respond this one immediately. So find n such that cardinality of dn is equal to 3. Somebody can respond to the second question.
2.
Question number 2.
Sir, n is equal to 2.
2. What are the divisors when n is equal to 2? -1 divides 2. -2 divides 2.
Okay, sir, I didn't consider the negative.
Yeah. Okay, no problem. Take time. Yeah, so that's okay.
So there won't be.
There won't be.
Will always be multiples of.
Why Shruti? Why
Because
it
you're
cannot be?
considering positive and negative,
Uh-huh.
and 1 and -1 will always be there.
Right.
So you already have 2, and
Uh-huh.
the number itself and negative of that number.
Yeah.
So 4 will always be there.
Okay.
And anytime when you're putting a divisor, you are considering it in pairs.
Okay, so Shruti, now I'll ask one question to you. Is it always even cardinality of Dn?
Yes.
So Shruti, go slow. Is cardinality of Dn is always even?
If I'm
Yeah,
taking
think about. No need to tell. Yeah, think about. So all of you, right? Okay. The question number 3. If cardinality of Dn is equal to 2, so what we say about n?
Prime. N can be any prime number.
No, again you are very fast, Nader. So go slowly.
1.
Sir, it
I'm
should be
taking
1.
both.
It should be 1.
One only one answer.
-1.
-1.
-1.
-1.
See, actually,
Yeah.
to cheat you only, I wrote n equal to already. So it is not just one number. Actually, I need to write n belongs to. Then there is no confusion. Yeah. Yeah. So n equal to 1 or -1. So that is the only case, right? So actually, I am able to classify the numbers by using the cardinality of Dn. Yeah, Nader, now I am giving opportunity to you that how do you check given number is prime or not by using looking the cardinality of Dn? Yes, Nader.
So for finding prime, what we do is like we first
No, okay. Answer like this: if n is prime number, then what is the cardinality of Dn?
4.
4. So the cardinality is 4. Is it a prime number? Is it if and only if condition?
So it's I can think of it in a one way, but I can't think it in a.
Okay. Yeah. Take time. Yeah. Okay. Good. Yeah, that's okay. Now another question is that is Dm equal to D minus M? Yeah, Dhruv.
Yes.
Yeah, it is correct, right? Yeah. Dm is equal to D minus M. Yeah, Shruti also told. Yeah, so I think you understand that. So what do you mean by Dn intersection Dm?
Common divisors.
Common divisors of n and m. Okay. What do you mean by maximum of Dn intersection Dm?
Greatest common divisor.
So you understand what is my third concept?
Huh.
It is related to greatest common divisor concept. Why I'm giving so many questions here? This is the one concept we will use very, very frequently. From childhood, you know what is GCD, but that is the thing we will use very frequently. Is GCD exist for any two integers?
Non-zeros.
Non-zero?
Yes, sir.
No, I'm not clear about actually your answer.
So both can't be 0, but
both can't be 0. Yeah, Rohan.
Yeah, sir. Sorry.
Both cannot be 0. Okay, good. Yeah. So you can so understand that. Can you think GCD as a map? What is its domain, codomain? Okay, I'm telling all the details. So questions are given here. When your slides are with you, then you can also, they are all paused. Okay, go slowly one after the another. So GCD is a map from Z cross Z to 0, 0. We need to remove. So yeah, so that is interesting point. So GCD cannot be defined 0, 0. Why? So can you tell me the reason?
Because any number divides 0, so there's no upper bound of the divisors.
So Rohan is telling that D0, Dn we know. So D0, every number divides 0 except 0. So it is Z minus 0, right? So that is infinite set. So D0 intersection D0 is the again Z minus 0. So that does not have the maximum element. So he rightly pointed out. So be careful whenever you are telling about GCD of two integers. So both integers 0, it is not allowed. So excluding that, so is it a map? Why I wrote it is a natural number? It is a map to natural number. Of course, I can write Z also, but I wrote natural numbers. Why?
It's the greatest. That's why it will be positive.
Karnika is a no, Shruti, yeah, please go ahead.
Sir, if you're taking the maximum, then it will be positive.
Why? How can you guarantee that? That's the question actually. How do you show that maximum is always positive?
If m is negative, then d minus m is equal to dm, and then dm will always contain like.
But you are giving very long proof. Okay, Rohan, that is not expected from you. Okay, anyhow, good, Rohan, and you can tell much more better way, Rohan.
If the number is negative, so the modulus will always divide that.
No, that's okay, but you can tell much better way actually. So look at dn intersection dm. Whatever may be the n and m, is it empty or non-empty? You take two integers n and m. What about dn intersection dm?
Non-empty.
Non-empty. Why it is non-empty?
One exists in both of them.
One exists both of them. So Anuruddha mic is working now. Okay. So one is there. So now all of you understand one is there. So greatest is, so common always one will be there. So greatest integer is greater than or equal to one. Okay. So you are correct. Don't worry. It is, so questions always helps to make us strong. That is the only my idea. So look at,
so the cardinality of dn is a formula which we should think of, is it?
Yeah. Okay. We'll come to that if required. So actually, I'm not doing entire number theory course. In the number theory course, you take the positive divisor. So even and so there are equal number of positive divisors and equal number of negative divisors. So it is sufficient to count number of positive divisors. That is called tau function. If you look at elementary number theory by Burton, that function is called tau function, right?
Yes, sir, yes.
Yeah. So that is there already. We can count it, but I'm not going to that. Okay. I do not require in this course, but I need GCD. Yeah. Okay. See, okay. So is it okay to continue or do you need some gap? At least one person say need gap, then I will give some gap.
So we can continue.
Continue. Okay.
Yes.
But continue, only one person say it is not correct, right? Any other person?
Sir, gap.
Gap. Okay.
5 minutes break, sir.
Yeah.
5 minutes break. Okay. Good. Okay. So we'll meet at actually 12. So 11:50. 11:50 we'll meet. 4 minutes time is there still. Okay. 11:50 we will meet. Yeah. Okay. Then. So in the meantime, somebody has want to suggest or something. I'm going fast, slow, or slides are problem or anything you can tell me.
Hello, sir.
Yeah, please.
Yes, no, sir. I don't think like, because already very like you have made lot like most of things very clear from like day one only. So I don't think, and even so, because like almost most of us have done
number theory course. Yeah.
Yes, sir. And sir has taken in a very interactive way.
Yeah, right.
Vishnu sir has taken in a
Vishnu
very
sir, anyhow, Vishnu sir also used DN only, right? While and GCD, I saw from him only in particular.
Okay.
The concept of DN intersection DM, I actually, so we teach together, right? So once I saw that intersection part, I liked it actually. So then I took from him only. Yeah.
Yes, sir. And sir, regarding the first presentation, like I have said yes in the classroom discussion.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think Shruti ma'am also said yes.
Okay. Okay.
So like
Yeah. So then Sachin and Shruti, you please go ahead with that.
yes.
Thanks. Okay. Now at least now out of 18 or 19 students, 2 of them are already assigned. Okay. Yes. So Sachin and Shruti, both of you are working on that particular problem. So now you are going to present it on 19th. Okay.
Yes,
why 19th? I told that see, by that time I'm going to already covering four lectures. So
yes.
some change should be good. It is better to have some change in the speaker. Okay.
Yes.
So dialogues, interaction will be much better. Yeah, already we are interacting, but speaker changes, then it will be effective. Yeah, so that is the reason. So we'll discuss, and so what you can do now is that you two meet separately once.
Yes, I'll communicate. I'll request ma'am to send me her email ID. I'll communicate with ma'am.
Yeah, very good. Thank you. Yeah.
Yes.
So then what happens is that you first decide that divide the work into 2 parts, which one is taking which one. You can also go like this, means what I want to say is that alternatively also you can tell, not like that one person first tell half an hour, then it is not like that also. So that you can collaborate and do things. That also sometimes it will motivate you, help you. Yeah.
Yes.
Right. Okay.
So basically that article is from Resonance, and I used to have its this thing edition till 2017.
Yeah.
And recently now they have stopped publishing it in the hard copy. Now it will be only there on the IS website.
Right.
Yeah. But it's a very I never went through all the articles, but it is very encouraging. The articles are very and the price at which we are getting is like remarkable. Like I don't think any other country is getting at that price at least. That too by Springer.
Yeah, right. Main thing is that see, all of you, I request you that all of you go through that article. Very simple. It is written by one BTech student only from IIT Patna. Okay. So, and you will understand the importance of coding theory. So actually that particular item is related to that. See, recently it has happened in my life actually. So one person has to send some money to me, right? So I given my account number to him. But what happened is that in that account number, he put one extra number in that, extra digit. So luckily one happened is that if you change one digit, it may go to some other body's account. Now that account, that particular person has to agree to give it back to us. Okay, of course, bank first will inform the bank that it is not came to my account, it went to somebody's account because of one digit is problem. So then bank will ask seize that account and ask them to give. So and it may take time and a lot of trouble. If the money is big, then we are in trouble. Okay, but in my case, what happened? So they put one extra digit, more digits. So that's why it not went to anybody's account. Okay, my friend want to give some money to me. So that is HDFC Bank. So HDFC Bank account number contain 13 digits. Okay, but luckily he put 14 digits instead of 13 with changing other digit or something like. So it is not went anywhere, and he get money back to him, and again he deposited to me. So it is like that article is related to that when you are sending mails or SMS, or sometimes even phone numbers will, while you speak something but other person listen, some changes will come. So it is exactly that article. So you will understand very easily, and what coding theory is going to do also will realize. So now once you have that talk first, okay, then coding theory becomes easy for you. So that is the idea of putting that article, and I am very thankful to Sachin and Shruti. They came forward. So by 19th, if they give that first, then it will be very interactive. Yeah, thanks. Yeah. So we'll now proceed. So A and B are two integers. Now, as we discussed that to define the concept of GCD, so both cannot be zero simultaneously. So how do you take care of that one? I put A square plus B square is not equal to 0. You know that a square plus b square equal to 0 only when both a and b are 0. That's the reason I wrote that. Okay, so the greatest common integer of a and b denoted by GCD of AB. So it is a maximum of dA intersection dB, right? So the GCD is the largest integer. D says it, D divides C and D divides B, right? Okay, so as already Rohan pointed out, so GCD of 0, 0 doesn't exist. So there is a mistake here, that is Z minus 0 likhna hai. Sometime typos will help us to convey more. Okay, so this is a typo. I have to write Z minus 0. Okay, since every integer is divisible by 1, so that I already pointed out. So GCD is always greater than or equal to 1. Minimum is 1. So it is GCD is always positive. Okay. So if A not equal to 0, then what is the GCD of A comma 0?
Modulus of A.
Modulus of A. Yeah, you should be careful. That is modulus of A. GCD of A comma A, it is again modulus of A, right? So is it true that the GCD of AB equal to minus AB equal to AB minus B equal to like that? These are all equal.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, how do you prove, Aniruddha?
Because the GCD of A comma B will be a positive number, so such that D divides A and D divides B. Now, if D divides A, then D also divides minus A. Similarly, D divides minus B also. So in that way, we can
what actually you are saying is that dA intersection dB is equal to what you are actually saying. dA intersection dB is equal to dA intersection dB is equal to D minus A intersection dB, which is equal to dA intersection D minus B, which is equal to D minus A intersection D minus B, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
You can go that. Yeah. Yes,
yeah. So actually, he's telling that that intersection is they are equal because dA and D minus A same. That means their intersections are same. Actually, we are proving more than what we are asking. Why? We are proving that all common divisors are same. Not only GCD, all common divisors are same for A and B and A minus B, right? So this is a wonderful proof, right? So here also there is a small error. C only belongs to Z, not CC. So it comes from that. So and also DB intersection DA equal to DA intersection DB. So all of them are equal, right? So what is the advantage of this one? Okay, so advantage is that, okay, so there are some questions here. So you are easy for you. So the question is that, so there is an Euclidean algorithm. Okay, what is that? If the GCD of all of them are equal, so now it is sufficient to consider both A and B are positive. Okay, so what is the advantage of asking this question is that, so I want to write a program. Okay, so I want to write a program that given two integers, I want to find GCD of A and B. But now, because of this result, it is sufficient to confine to both A and B are positive. Okay, so if I find both A and B are positive, I can find it for any pair also, right? So that is the advantage that result is saying. Okay. And the GCD of AB equal to BA saying that, okay, now without loss of generality, I can assume that A greater than B because GCD of AA equal to A. So when I'm confining to positive, so I no need to write mod of A. So now, so entire problem now boils down to A greater than B greater than 0, then I want to find GCD of AB. Okay. So Euclidean algorithm says that if A greater than B greater than 0 and if A is equal to BQ plus R, then somebody can say, so before click it.
GCD of A and B is equal to GCD of B and R.
B and R. Okay. So GCD of AB equal to GCD of B comma R. What is the advantage here, Rohan?
So that we can go on reducing the.
That is one thing. But now in this theorem itself, can you say something? GCD of AB equal to GCD of BR, what is happening? So I reduced the GCD of AB. A and B are very big numbers, maybe, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So, but whereas for B may be very small. Now R is much smaller. It is even less than B, right? Yeah, so now we are, instead of finding GCD of AB, now I solved the problem. It is sufficient to find GCD of BR. Now, as Rohan told, we can reduce further and further, right? So now actually it seems that Rohan is very much interested in number theory. So I will discuss with him. Now I will give a topic for him related to, see, for example, we have in the cryptography, we have problems like RSA cryptography. RSA means does not assume that the South Africa team also called RSA, okay, not that one. So it is, there is RSA cryptography. So there, that RSA is depends upon the factorization of integer is difficult, okay. So he will confine to how factorization problem difficult, that type of thing, number theoretic problem. But so many cryptographic problems are related to hardness of some problems, okay. So he is going to discuss that. Maybe I will, I'm not giving topic now, but I will discuss with him. He agree, then he will go. The topic is that hardness of the factoring of a natural number, okay. So like that, so you can also come up with those topics, okay, fine. Okay, so sorry for deviating. Yeah, sorry for deviating now. So GCD of AB equal to GCD of BR. So as Rohan already pointed out, proof is simple. That is actually Aniruddha just now told. So actually we are proving more. DA intersection DB equal to DB intersection DR. Common divisors are same, so the maxims automatically same. The proof is simple. It uses that earlier result that D divides A, D divides B, then D divide their linear combination. It depends upon that. So proof is simple. I'm moving forward. Yeah. So as he pointed out, Euclidean algorithm, Rohan. So first I take A. So Q1B plus R1. Okay. And you know that R1 is less than B. So you remember that A and B are positive now. Okay. If R1 is equal to 0, then B divides A and GCD of AB equal to DB and we are stopped. If not, if R1 is not equal to 0, then now my goal is to find GCD of B R1 now, right? Okay, now I am confined to B R1. Now I divide B with R1 and I will see. Now if R2 equal to 0, I am done. Okay, I will continue like that, but it will stop after some time. You know that why it stops also. So then we'll get the GCD. This is what we call Euclidean algorithm in general, but I wrote as a theorem, but actually this is a Euclidean algorithm, right? Okay, so in the extended Euclidean algorithm, later it will come. Then so why this is these things I am telling. See, remember that you told prime numbers and all because you know, but I'm till now I'm not introduced what is a prime number. So without prime numbers and all, it is possible to find the GCD. See, in childhood, how do you find the GCD? You use the prime factorization first, then you find the GCD, right? But prime factorization is a tough problem. Till now, no nice algorithm is available. If I give a natural number, so finding the prime factorization of that one, we know that there is a thing, but it cannot be done. Okay, but no need to worry about that. That's what Euclid done 2500 years back. He given how to find GCD of two numbers without knowing the prime factorization of that number. That is this, and no one able to improve this further because it is a beautiful result. And it is a very, very nice algorithm. It is giving very short time we are getting. So that is the beauty of this. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So I'll explain with one example. So what is going on here? So I take 34 and 55. Okay. So 55 is equal to 34 into 1 plus 21. Right. Now what I will do now? 34 and 21. Right. So now the remainder is 13. So keep on doing like that. So finally you end up, you already know the answer, right? GCD is 1, but yeah. So can you see and tell me that what are these numbers? 55, 34, 21, 13, 8, 3, 2, 1. Somebody can suggest? Am I fast?
Sir, it's a sequence where an is equal to an minus 1 plus an minus 2.
What are these numbers, Aniruddha?
Quotients.
Yeah, Dhruv, yeah. Dhruv Bash.
Quotients.
Quotients, okay. Quotient remainders are fine, but do you see something 1, 2, 3, 5, 8? Yeah.
Fibonacci series.
Fibonacci numbers. Okay, so these are Fibonacci numbers, right? You know that if I add 1 plus 2, you will get 3, 3 plus 5, 8. Okay. Why I given this particular example is that division Euclidean algorithm giving the GCD. So, but for certain numbers it will take more time, but many numbers it will give very fast. See, every time it is every time it is remainder is not 0. Okay, a very long time. Okay, Fibonacci numbers is that there it take the worst time. That is what I want to say. Okay, the Fibonacci numbers are some numbers where it take the worst time. Okay. Yeah, so you'll by looking the algorithm, you will say worst case algorithm, average case algorithm, like that. So when it is Fibonacci numbers, it take the more time than any other case. Okay. Yeah. So now whatever I done, again I can explain through some sort of thing. So those who done number theory, you know, continued fractions, right? So it is expressed as a continued fractions and that sort also. But I'll explain with a little simple way. So 34 and 55, I have a rectangle, right? So then what I done, I divided so now the remainder is 21, right? So this entire rectangle now, so I put a square of size 34, 34, right? Then 21 is left. Okay, now in the 34 cross 21, now that is left. 34 cross 21, you remember that? Okay. Now I divide 34 by 21. Now I put 21 cross 21 square in the 34 cross 21, right? Now in the 21 cross 13, I put a table. I put a square of 13 cross 13. So actually, it is squaring the rectangle. Squaring the rectangle means I am putting the squares inside the rectangle. Okay. So there is a website called Squaring the Net. I am not putting it in my website. That is not related to this course, but it is very good. Squaringnet.com something. Okay, very simple website. So there they will, which square I have to put squares inside the squares or squares inside the rectangle. How can you do that? That is very much useful for electrical engineers and electronic engineers. Why? You know that your cell phone is a rectangular shaped, right? And there I need to put so many things inside. Okay, so now space optimal utilization of the space is important. So Fibonacci numbers will help us. If my length and breadth are Fibonacci numbers, then it is nice to put. Okay, so I'm just connecting that to this. Okay, yeah. Okay, now we'll go forward. So now I'm defining SEAB as AX plus BY, where X and Y belongs to integers. So find SEAB. Okay, so that is no need to worry about. The question is the second question. Can you answer? Okay, take time. So suddenly I move to other direction. Okay, so okay. Before that, any doubts here till now? Any questions? Okay. Okay, so now I am taking that two integers are already fixed. So look at that a comma b not 0, 0 means that at least one of them is non-zero. Okay, that is not GCD. Okay, ordered pair not equal to 0, 0. So you know that ordered pair equal to 0, 0 ordered pair. If A equal to 0 and B equal to 0, it not means at least A not equal to 0 or B not equal to 0, right? One of them is non-zero. That is required for the GCD, right? So now, so is it the second question is true? Very simple.
Yes, sir.
That is very easy, right? I'm just writing A, what you mean by AZ, multiplying A to Z, right? AZ plus BZ is exactly that AX plus BY, nothing, okay? So now the question is that what is SEAB? So if you want to answer now first question, what is that I'm asking is that is it equal to again, can you predict something? So let us take some 2Z and 4Z, okay? A equal to 2 and B equal to 4. what is AZ plus 4Z? So somebody else will take 3Z and 5Z. What is 3Z plus 5Z? And compute and add them and try to look at what is that. Yeah, so that is the question.
Sir, common divisors.
Okay, Aniruddha, just wait sometime. Yeah, so Aniruddha, just wait. Yeah. So those who know the answer, please tick yes. We'll go like that. I'll give some time here. This is very useful to me. Aditi knows, okay. Only Aditi, Pragati knows, okay. Any other person? Aditi, why you again lower your hand?
Sir, it goes automatically.
Oh, okay. Then that's what, why that may be a little wrong. Okay, anyhow, let it be. Okay, so I know Aditi and Pragati, they ticked yes. Any other person now? One more person ticked. Aniruddha already told. So I am saying that please check with different examples, then you will understand. Okay. So for example, in particular, I will ask one person, Shiva. Okay, Shiva, I will ask you that take A equal to 3 and B equal to 5. 3Z plus 5Z. You know what is 3Z? Multiples of 3. 5Z means multiples of 5. Now add them and what is we are going to get? Okay, Shiva?
Yes, sir.
Okay, yeah. So you just work it out and let me know that what is that set finally you will get. Sneha, you joined in with two devices, right? Sneha P. So you have a lot of internet data available with you. Okay. Yeah. So any other person? Yeah. Shiva, what is your answer? Shiva Roy.
Yes, sir. I'm not getting it right.
Okay. So then I'm luckily I stopped actually. Okay, I'm not going forward. So 3Z plus 5Z. What is that you have to do is that take multiples of 3. So now we are adding. It is component wise addition. So sorry, you can add element in AZ plus PZ is take element from AZ, element from BZ and add it. Okay, I hope you understand the set. Is it 8 belongs to 3Z plus 5Z? Shiva? Is 8 belongs to 3Z plus 5Z?
Yes, sir. If we will add 3
and 5, right? 3 plus 5. Good. Okay, right. Yeah. So Dhruv also now know the answer. Yeah. So is it 7 belongs to that set? You are allowed to take negative integers also. Remember, 0 also allowed, negative integers allowed. So can you write 7 as a linear combination of x and y? 3x plus 5y equal to 7. What are x and y? That is the question. So in general, what is 3z plus 5z? Yeah, Dhruv Kumar. Yeah, Dhruv. What is that you want to say? You want to say for 3z plus 5z? Then tell, Dhruv. Not entire for AZ plus BZ.
Hello.
Yeah.
Hello. Yes, sir. Actually, I just answered for what you asked.
Yeah. What is that? So Shiva, actually, is it your house is near to a railway station, a railway flat?
Yes, it is near
Okay.
National Highway.
Yeah. Okay.
That's why the sound is coming.
Yeah. Okay. Good. That's okay. No problem. Yeah. So can you tell me, is 7 belongs to that set?
So it's just I'm working on it.
Yeah. So anyone now? Yeah. Go ahead, Aditi. Yeah.
Yes, it's
Yeah.
7 belong to this.
How do you prove 7 belong to that?
We can take a negative also. So put 3 into 0 and 5 into minus 2.
Right, right.
Or something like
Right, right. Yeah. Vinith, yeah. Go ahead. Vinith Chavan.
Hello?
Vinith, yeah. Please go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, so 7 means you can take the, suppose 3 into
3 into 4.
Yeah, sorry. 3 into 4.
3 into 4 plus
5 into minus 1.
5 into minus 1. 3 into 4 is 12. 5 into minus 1 is minus 5. So 12 minus 5 is 7. Okay. Good.
Thanks, Aditi.
Yeah. So 7 also belong to. So in general, what is that 3z plus 5z is? So 7 is there, 5 is there anyhow, 3 is there. What is az plus bz? Yeah.
Sir,
Yeah. Please go ahead. Yeah.
it will be az plus bz will be. So suppose D is the GCD of A and B, then AZ plus BZ will be DZ.
Right, right.
3 and 5, it will be like Z only.
Right, right. Okay. Yeah. So Pragati, you want to say same thing, Pragati?
Yes, sir. Same.
Okay. Yeah. So GCD, so A plus AZ plus BZ is exactly DZ. Yeah. So that is the beauty of this integers. Okay. So those who done ring theory course, you know that AZ is an ideal, BZ is an ideal, sum of two ideals is an ideal. Okay. The ideal is exactly the GCD of A and B. It is a bigger, 2Z is bigger than the 4Z. Okay. So it is a bigger ideal, right? AZ plus BZ is again an ideal. Sum of two ideals is an ideal. That is exactly GCD. Okay. So AZ plus BZ is that is exactly called Bezoart's identity. Okay. It is little bit more. Okay. If A and B are two integers, not both 0, so then GCD of AB exists. Moreover, we can find integers u and v such that GCD of A comma B is equal to AU plus BV. But in fact, we are proving more. Okay, stronger result. This ax plus by is equal to dz in fact. So d automatically, d belongs to dz. So d belongs to ab, SAB also, once you prove this result. Okay, so how do you show this? Okay, so that is the thing. Again, you want to utilize well ordering principle. Okay, so somebody can tell me that SAB, okay, A and B are two integers. SAB contains some positive integer. So how do you prove it? Give me some positive integer in SAB. With that, I will proceed further fast. I will repeat the question. A and B are two integers. Both are not 0. At least one of them is non-zero. Okay. Then only GCD exists. Na? Okay. Then what is that I am asking? That now I consider the set SAB, AX plus BY. Okay. X and Y are integers varying. Okay. So for example, I take both x0, y0, then 0 belongs to SAB, right? X equal to 1, y equal to 1, a plus b, a minus b, a plus 2b, 2a plus b, a minus 2b. All these are here. Okay. Now I do not know about a and b, but they are just two integers. But without knowing a and b, can you give me one positive integer in SAB? That is the question.
A square
Mod A plus mod B.
Mod A, how can I give? So mod A should be, I want it should be of the form AX plus BY, right?
So the GCD.
A square plus B
No,
square.
I do not know GCD. Do not, now the question is very simple. In AX plus BY, give me one positive integer.
A square plus B square.
A square plus B square. See, you understand now? That is one, we can give many. What Aditi, or sorry, who is told? Sorry.
Yeah, sir, Aditi.
Aditi told, okay. So Aditi told that take x equal to a and y equal to b, then it is a square plus b square. Since one of them is non-zero, so a square plus b square is non-zero quantity. And you know that a square plus b square is once it is non-zero, it is a positive automatically. So it contains. So if I do SAB with intersection with n, then it contains the smallest element. So we are use well ordering principle. Okay. So how do you prove this result? So to show it is equal to dz, to show that two sets are equal, I want to show that dz is subset of SAB and SAB is subset of dz, right? That is a technique. So how do you prove it? So how do you bring D? How do you guess D? That D is actually the, so you do S dash SAB intersection N, and it is non-empty because A square plus B square is here. Okay. Then take the smallest integer and you prove that that is exactly D. That D, now we need to show that that D is the GCD also. The smallest itself is the GCD also, right? And so that it goes like that. Okay, I'm not going into details. So proof, very good proof, nice proof. Yes. Okay. So I asked some questions here. Okay. Okay. So now these questions I will spend some time. Okay. So how now this is, I hope now it is clear to all of you that this is the one of the best, most frequently used thing in the cryptography. What is that? If A comma B GCD is D, then there exists X and Y such that D is equal to AX plus BY. This is the most, that is called Bezoart's identity, and we will use it. Okay. Okay. So GCD is always expressed as a integer linear combination of A and B. Okay. So at least today, do not forget this. So this is most used thing in the entire course. Okay, fine. Okay. If A comma B GCD is 1, there exists X and Y such that AX plus BY equal to 1. So this is telling that both the sides is true. So by Bezoart's identity, if A comma B GCD is 1, then you know that there exists X and Y such that AX plus BY equal to 1. But now converse is also true. I'm just reading the question to you. If AX plus BY equal to 1, so A and B are two integers and there exists X and Y such that AX plus BY equal to 1, then GCD of AB is also equal to 1. Okay. One side is from Bezoart's identity, other side you can prove easily. So that is what this exercise. If A comma B GCD is 1, then what is SEAB? Somebody can answer that, easy I think.
Z.
Z, okay. If A comma B GCD is equal to 2, so there exists X and Y that X plus BY is equal to 2. This also, is it true or not? That is the question here. Is the following also true or not? Question 1 is true for sure, but question 2 is true or not. So be careful about this. Okay. So yeah. Okay. Now these are the questions. If A divides BC, is it necessary that A divides B and A divides C?
No.
Okay. How, Dhruv? Why it is not true?
6 divides 6.
6 divides 6. 6 divides 2 into 3. But 6 does not divide 2, 6 does not divide 3. Yeah, correct. Right. So now can you add additional hypothesis, some changes in the conditions as that above statement is true?
Sir, A is prime.
Okay, prime I'm not defined till now. So something else.
Sir, we can like take co-prime and then do it.
Right.
The GCD of like two of them is.
Okay, very good. Yes. Yeah. Correct. Yeah. Okay, so what is Sachin is telling is that so A comma B, so see that is exactly that Euclid's lemma. Okay, this is also we'll use very frequently. That's why I wrote in very big letters. If A divides BC and A comma B GCD is 1, then A divides C. Okay, the proof is simple, not complicated. So I'm telling now that, so this I will use. Okay, I request you, all of you, that Bezoart's lemma, Bezoart's identity, that is GCD of A comma B equal to D, then there exists X and Y such that D is equal to AX plus BY. For that is, you have to remember, there is no in this course. Okay, if A divides BC and A comma B GCD 1, then A divides C. Okay. So proof, I hope you can do it easily. Okay. Now another question, if A divides C and B divides C, is AB divides C also true? Okay, Dhruv said no. Why? An example or something?
Sir, in equal cases, like
tell me that.
In example, sort of, right?
Example only. You can see once it is no, you have to give example only. You no need to say that. It is, see, once it is
So
not true, then you have to give a counter example. That is example. Yeah, give me one example that A divides C, B divides C, but AB does not divide C.
So 2 divides 2, 2 divides 2, but 4 does not divide 2.
Yeah. Okay. Simple example. Smallest case he took. 2 divides 2, 2 divides 2, but 2 into 2, 4. 4 does not divide 2. Can you again add conditions and make it true, Aniruddha?
A and B are copied.
Yeah. So A divides C and B divides C and A comma B GCD is 1, then AB divides C. So this is very much used in the Chinese remainder theorem at many places. Okay. So this also very handy for us. Okay. A divides C and B divides C, A comma B equal to GCD is 1, then AB divides C. So it is always better to look at the proofs. Okay. Yeah. Actually, very nice if I discuss proof actually, but that is not my intention of this course, right? So I'm going forward. Okay. Yeah. So these are some nice applications if you know it. And for example, this we will use actually. So there is a thing called Hill cipher. Okay. Wagner cipher and then Hill cipher. So there we will use these things. Okay. Cipher in the cryptography, sometimes we'll get it. Okay. If GCD of AB equal to 1, then can you construct a matrix with first column as AB such that determinant of A equal to 1? Is the question clear? So one example, one particular case I want. Yeah, Sriti, go ahead.
So since the GCD is 1, we can express 1 as AX plus BY.
Very good.
And we can take accordingly the first row element to be minus Y and X.
Very good. Very good. See, you understand what Sriti told. So, see, GCD of AB equal to 1 by Bezoar's identity, there exist X and Y such that AX plus BY equal to 1. So actually GCD is now she told that I take a star equal to minus Y and first star and second star as X. Okay. Then AX plus BY, right? But AX plus BY is 1. So you see that if I take one, if I have one pair, then I can create a matrix with the whose determinant equal to 1 beautifully, right? How powerful it is. Okay. Yeah, so some more questions are here. So there is a concept least common multiple and GCD into LCM equal to product of two numbers. You know, the proof is given here. So, and there is a thing called a linear Diophantine equation. So this, so linear equation, you know, Diophantine means that whenever Diophantine is added means that you are looking integer solutions. That is very tough problems. When you have only looking integer solutions, very difficult to solve. Okay. For example, 2x plus 3y does not have solutions. The reason is that if it has a solution, integer solution, then I can take 2 common and 2 divides 3, that is a contradiction. So it does not have integer solution. So there is a nice theorem and the proof also I gave. A linear Diophantine equation Ax plus By equal to G equal to C has a solution if and only if D divides C. What is D? If and only if actually. Okay, where D is the GCD of AB. So Ax plus By equal to C has a solution only if D divides C, where D is the GCD of A and B. Okay. So, yeah. So in fact, we can prove more. We can find all the solutions. You know that once you know one solution in the linear algebra you come across, we can find all the solutions, right? One. So we'll solve the homogeneous part and add a particular solution. That way you can prove it. Okay, so proof is given here. Yeah. So sorry, I typed it 2 times. I remove that. Okay. So, and you know, prime numbers and composite irreducible numbers are composite numbers in this case, right? So this is the 5th concept of the course. So, so you know prime numbers, so I'm not going to that actually. So these are nice things, but I'll call irreducible later. I told that it is a composite number, and you know fundamental theorem of arithmetic. Every integer greater than 1 can be written as product of finite number of irreducible factors, uniquely up to order. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So for proof, I given some sort of questions form. Okay. And another interesting concept. With this, I will stop today. Yeah. So this is related to. I'll add one more slide. I forget to add actually. So what do you mean by direct I wrote theorem? Sorry, there is a mistake. One slide I had to add. When you said that A is congruent to B mod M, how do you define A congruent to B mod M, right? So I have to define that. Okay, so give me 1 minute. I'll unshare and share. Okay. So I hope you are able to see it.
Yes, sir.
Okay, A and B are 2 integers, right? And I fix some natural number, remember. So congruences are defined only for natural numbers. Okay. So we say that A is congruent to B mod N. What is the definition? Somebody can help me?
So they leave the same remainder when dividing by n.
Yeah, so easy way.
N divides A minus B.
N divides A minus B. Okay. So it is a definition. So no need to say that if and only if. Okay. So when N divides A minus B, then also you can take that A is congruent to B mod N. Okay. So, A is congruent to B mod N. So actually it gives an equivalence relation, right? What I want to say that I'll fix N, right? So I have natural number N, right? Okay, so then once I fix natural number, then I am defining A is related to B. A is related to B relation. N divides A minus B. Okay. So is it an equivalence relation?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
How do you show it is an equivalence relation?
So reflexivity, symmetricity, and transitivity.
Transitivity. See, A is related to A because N is, so let us, for clarity, I'll take N equal to 3. Okay. Is 3 divides A minus A? Yes. 3 divides 0, right? If 3 divides A minus B, then 3 also divides B minus A. So A is congruent to B modulo 3, then B is congruent to A modulo 3, right? Correct. Okay. So now A is congruent to B, A is related to B, that means 3 divides A minus B, and B is related to C, that means 3 divides C minus B, then 3 also divides C minus A, easy to check, right? Okay, so this is an equivalence relation. So it gives the equivalence classes. So those are, you know that part. Okay, now when N equal to 1, what happens? If N equal to 1, if I take 2 integers A and B, is it A is congruent to B mod 1? Is it true? Hello, what happened?
Everything will be Z, the equivalence classes.
Yeah, so here what happens that any 2 integers are will satisfy this. A is congruent to B mod 1 will always true for any 2 integers. 1 divides any integer. 1 divides every integer. So any 2 integers are congruent to modulo 1. So 1 is generally will not take 1. Okay. What do you mean by N is equal to 2 case? n is equal to 2 case when you two integers are congruent to 2 modulo n, 2 mod, sorry, yeah.
When both of them are even, or
Both
So
of them.
difference is even.
Difference. So that means that both are even or both are odd actually. Yeah. So that is the nice thing, right? So A is congruent to B mod n is nice way to say that if that is same as that both are even or both are odd. So both have same parity. Okay. That is the beauty of doing modulo 2. Okay. Nice. Okay. So now I will go to the actual slide. So yeah. So these are the some of the things. A is congruent to A mod m, right? And if A is congruent to B mod m, then B is congruent to A mod m. So there are so many nice results about them, right? So I given here. Yeah. So see, these are known to you and proofs are given very nicely written, so you can understand them. Okay. Yeah. So equivalence classes, you know that. But so just I want to conclude with this last thing. So can you give me 5 more minutes? With that, I will stop today.
Yes.
Okay. Thanks. Okay. Yeah, these are actually nice things to discuss, but I'm going forward. Okay. Okay, so here what I want to say that if A comma 2 GCD is 1, okay. So A comma 2 GCD is 1, then A power 1 is congruent to what mod 2?
1.
1 mod 2, right? Right. A comma 2 GCD is 1, very good. Why she told 1? Because A comma 2 GCD 1 means A is odd number. So A power 1 is equal to 1 mod 2. Very simple question. Okay. Now 1 square is congruent to what mod 3?
1.
1. 2 square is congruent to what mod 3?
1.
1. Okay. Sorry for taking more time. So yeah. Okay. So all of you clear with this. So 4 square is congruent to
1.
1. Okay. 5 square congruent to 1 mod 3.
1.
6 square is congruent to 0
Sure.
mod 3. Okay. Right. So that is okay. So can you see some pattern here? If I go on doing like that. Okay. A square is congruent to, can you say something about A square is congruent to what?
1 mod 3.
1 mod 3 or
0.
0 mod 3. So you never get, so you that earlier also I asked, every number is of the form 3k plus 1 or 3k exercise question. That is again coming here. Okay. Yeah. So what about if I do power 4 now? Okay. Let us see that 1 power 4 is congruent to 1 mod 5. 2 power 4 is congruent to 1 mod 5, right? 16. 3 power 4, 81, congruent to 1 mod 5. 4 power 4, congruent to 1 mod 5. 5 power 4 is congruent to 0 mod 5, right? 6 power 4 again congruent to 1 mod 5. So in general, what we can say? A power 4 is congruent to what?
A raised to P minus 1 is congruent to
No,
1.
I'm not asking much. So if you look at all these examples, can you say that A power 4 is congruent to what?
0 or 1.
0 or 1, that much only I am looking. Okay, it is either congruent to 1 mod 4, 5 or 0 mod 5. When it is congruent to 1 mod 5?
And it is odd.
Odd, no. So for
GP
example,
What's the
is not
multiple of 5?
Co-primes. A and 5 are co-primes.
A and 5 are co-prime. If they are co-prime, then any power of A power 4 also co-prime to 5. Okay, it cannot give 0. You already figured out that A power 4 is 0 or 5, 0 mod 5 or 1 mod 5. If A is co-prime to 5, A power 4 also co-prime to 5. It cannot give 0. Okay. So when it will give 0, when it is 5 only, multiple of 5. Okay. That is what Fermat's little theorem is, right? If P is a prime number, A is an integer, and P does not divide A. So this is the case that P comma A GCD 1 and P does not divide A, both are same. Because only prime divisors of P are 1 and P. P does not divide A, automatically only common divisors of P and A are 1. Okay, some people will write P comma A GCD 1. Okay, Fermat observed this. P is a prime number and A is the integer. So A power P minus 1 is congruent to 1 mod P. Okay, the proof is again very simple. As a corollary to this is that, but can you, as a corollary to this is that P is a prime number, A is any integer, then A power P is congruent to A mod P. Somebody see the difference in these two hypotheses. Some people say second thing as a Fermat's little theorem, but no need to worry about. It was proved by using Fermat's little theorem only. But can you see the difference in these two hypotheses? Somebody can tell me that.
So if P divides A, then A is congruent to, that's the difference in the hypothesis.
Yeah. So in the first case, actually, we are demanding that A comma P GCD 1. Right? And here I am not asking anything. I even I removed that thing. That is the thing. Okay. It is very beautiful. What it is saying that if P is a prime number, take any integer A, then A power P is congruent to A mod P. So it is wonderful, right? Very powerful, right? If I take a P as a prime number, take any integer A, whatever the integer you take, it is actually infinite number of integers are there. For every integer, this condition is, this congruence is true. That is very beautiful. Prime numbers have a very, very beautiful thing. If P is a prime number, then A power P is congruent to A mod P for every integer. Okay. Why I am telling this one, that emphasis I am giving is that, so almost thousands, around 2000 years, people thought that converse is also true. Okay, to check a given number is prime or not. So if it is true, if you are able to find at least one prime, A power P is not congruent to A mod P, then, so see, if you give at least one integer for which A power P is not congruent to A mod P, I am done. It is not a prime number. So given number is prime or not to check. So this is the many years people used, but later people realized that there are composite numbers, they also satisfy this. So then Carmichael, one person, and even our number 1729, you know, all of you, 1729.
Yes, sir. Taxi cab number.
Taxi cab Ramanujan number. Ramanujan number satisfies this, but that it is not a that is not a prime number. Okay. Okay, so that is the beauty of this. But again, Fermat's little theorem proof is very simple. It can be proved by using group theory or many ways. Okay, so proof is given at the end. So with that, I will stop today. Okay, sorry for taking little extra time, because in the beginning I discussing about the course and all. That's why I took that extra time. So with that, I will stop. But before stopping, just I will ask one question, final question. So is a 43 is a prime number or not?
Yes, sir.
Prime number. 47?
Yes.
Prime number. Can you multiply and tell me what is the answer?
Uh, 2021.
2021. Okay. So actually, in the RSA crypto system, many places we need two primes. They are very big, of course, not this size, but their size, they are very much near. Okay. In the Fermat factorization method, there is a Fermat one given one factorization method. Okay. So as I told you that when a number is, it is factorizing given number is very difficult, but Fermat factorization method will work when the those primes are very nearby, product of two numbers, and they are very nearby, then it is very easy to attack or something like that is there. This 43, 47 are very nearby. Okay. Yeah. So that is what I want to say. And so maybe Rohan will study those things maybe in future. I will discuss with him that.
Yes.
So, yeah. So there is a thing called Fermat factorization method. So there are many people try to how to factor given number, but till now, as I told, that it is open problem, and there is no algorithm actually. There is no polynomial time algorithm to given number can be written as product of primes. Okay, so that is actually boon for us. There is no algorithm. Okay, so that is people are using in our day-to-day life everywhere. Okay, in the cryptography and other places. Yeah, so I'll stop with this, and we'll meet on Thursday at 8:30. Okay, yeah, thanks. Any questions you can ask me.
Sir, I also enjoyed studying number theory in last semester. So if you have suggestions related to number theory topics, I would like to present.
So 1 minute, who is that person?
Aditi.
Aditi. Okay, good. Okay, thank you for telling in advance. Yeah, I'll try to see that. So many people chatted. Sorry that do not chat. Okay. So you understand that we cannot. So we cannot see chat while we are discussing. Okay. So let us first stop recording.